Good morning, PT on Ice crew. Happy Monday. Monday the 22nd. October 22nd, we are rolling. Everything is going well. I hope you're doing well. I hope it's off to a good start of the week. I'm in the mobile studio in between meetings, so I've got two meetings today back to back. So this is going to be sort of a get right started and get to the point. And with any luck, keep everybody moving on to the next part of their day. So I hope you're doing well. I hope everything is going all right. I'm going to start the clock and get rolling. So today what I wanted to talk about was the idea of 1% mastery. And what I mean by that is this concept of, can you get 1% better today? Can you improve by 1% today? And can you make that sort of a practice in life? Like, is that something that we can sort of just decide is important to us and find ways to be just a little bit better every single day? And the reason why I think that's important is because I think that is how big changes actually occur. I don't think many people, in fact, I don't know any, although, you know, the lottery might be your opportunity. I mean, I've been kind of following this. I don't know if everyone realizes there's like $1 billion lottery. So that might be the only way you have enough money to make a huge change with a lot of folks all at once, because you can afford to like hire everybody and get started, you know, do it that way. But everyone else, you know, if we're trying to make a change with the people around us, if we're trying to make an impact on populations, if we're trying to help society at large, I really feel like it's a game of patience. And that is a skill that I'm noticing is in unbelievably short supply. And I don't mean that in a negative sense. I mean, like, I'm talking about myself, right? I mean, like 100%, the guy in the mirror, the guy who, you know, like we all wake up to every day. That is something that I find is an incredible struggle. This idea of, you know, are we there yet? When will we be there? Like, when are we at the finish line, you know? And there's a lot there, and I think that there's something that we all sort of need to wrestle with a little bit. And if you do, and if you get to the other side and you still think that whatever it is that you want to do is important and top notch for you, then I feel like we can actually go where we want to go. So let me kind of give you this concept, right? So if the end game, if the end goal, the top of the mountain, like whatever metaphor you use, is helping people to live the best version of themselves, right? Like the client in front of you in the clinic, or society at large, or the country, or the world, or like whoever your target is. If living the best version of themselves is a viable goal, and that you live to serve and help other people get there, then the question becomes, how long will that take, and how long are you willing to work until you feel like you've gotten there? Now, that's a weird question, because it's a question that is really, really difficult to answer. There's no simple answer to it. We wish there was, right? We wish we could say, yeah, like by the time I'm 50, X has to happen, or by the time I'm 60, X has to happen. And we're kind of trained to do just that, to think in that way, to set goals, both for ourselves and the people around us. And certainly if you're, you know, in the clinic, you know, you're doing that every day to justify what you do. And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. But the other side of the coin, I think we often lose sight of, that what if you can't quantify it? What if you just know what the top of the mountain look like? What if you just know how far you want to get, and you just know that you have to, you know, sort of step in that general direction every single day? When will enough be enough? How do you know, like, you're making enough strides? And so I've spent some time thinking about this, because I don't think it's easy. I think it's really, really complex, because it takes all of the factors and the interconnectedness of those factors in our life, both personally and professionally, and then kind of like throws them into the world around us. So I guess that's sort of philosophically where I'm trying to kind of get us all thinking. Like, what would it mean to be 1% better every single day? Is there something that you could do today that would be 1% better, or help someone be 1% better in their own health? And if so, what is that thing? Because if you can dial that in, even if you started every single day with just a little bit of, reflection, what's that one thing I'm going to focus on out of 100 things I do today? What's the one thing that I'm going to try to do better? We'd be surprised how fast we made progress. But when we think that way, when we think of like, hey, the finish line, I'll get there when I get there, I'm just trying to be better every day, it's surprising how much progress we make. However, on the flip side, when we say that finish line is X and I have to be this far today or else I won't make it there, that doesn't seem to work. So Jim Collins did a great job of this, and I'm a big Jim Collins fan, but so he did a great job of this describing the 20-mile march. And I've probably talked about it in the past, and I know I've certainly used that phrase. And if you don't know what that is, look it up, right? But he talks about two explorers, and one of them, sort of steadily marches 20 miles every single day, and the other one kind of like runs really, really fast on the days where they're doing well, and bogs down a little bit on the days when the conditions aren't as good. And the two explorers are kind of racing to the South Pole, and the one that wins, of course, is the one who steadily marches 20 miles every single day. Right. So that's a mantra, this idea of like, what's your 20-mile march? To me, it's the same concept. What can you do today to be 1% better? So for us, we've now been recently doing this. We've been talking about this and looking at it and trying to think about it on the ice side, on the courses that we offer. We've been trying to look at it from the perspective of how can we improve the courses to the point where people are getting the very most out of them and they're set up for success in the future. And so we think we've got one of those kinds of things, right? So what we've decided is to change the course a little bit. And if I've mentioned this in the past, bear with me. If you haven't heard about this, we want everyone to know. What we found over the first year and a half, 2 years of doing this now, is that there were a lot of people who needed the basic information, and then that was enough for them for a little while. They needed to let it percolate a little bit. They needed to move forward with it so they could decide how best to do their best, that 1% difference, that make a change. And so what we've decided to do is to take the Cert course that we currently offer, and we're kind of in our last cohort in the first format, and break it up a little bit. And create a live, a pre-recorded, initial course, a intro level course. And our hope is that every clinician on the planet who thinks they ever want to be in the helping people be their best space, whatever you call that, takes at least that intro course, because that's what sort of lets the brain percolate a little bit. I've been really, really impressed with this cohort. This group is doing a great job because they seem like they're kind of doing this without even maybe realizing. I don't know if it's intentional or not. I see Sean is on there. I mean, he's a perfect example. Last night he had talked about in the cohort some of the things that he's doing in the clinic, and it's getting somewhere. He's engaging people in this discussion, and it's getting somewhere. Another one of the guys, Pete, talked about how he's doing it in his practice already, and these folks are 3 units in to a 12-week course. So the truth is, it's just kind of evidence to me that it's obvious that people can take some information. Like, we don't need to have everything. We don't need to have all of the details, all of the script to move forward. What we really have to have is a desire to say, hey, I think this can help me be 1% better, or 10 or 12 or 15 or whatever. Like, I'll tell you, I think 1 is enough, but maybe you're ambitious and you want to do 10. But I need to be better today, and I need to engage, the world around me with whatever I've got, and then I can see progress. I feel like that sort of ties in a little bit to last week. Last week I talked a little bit about the idea of buffers and stress distress, and that line between stress and distress, and the fact that most people don't have the agility to pivot, to turn, so we're always sort of feeling like we're into that buffer zone. We're not strong enough to have a buffer, or we don't have enough buffer to keep us healthy. And I think that that's a symptom, again, of this idea of the race, I got to get there. I got to be at the finish line faster. I have to, be more efficient. I have to make more widgets. I have to treat more people, like this constant, go faster, go harder idea. With the, that sort of relies on the idea that, like, we don't have an end limit. Like we can just keep pushing harder and faster and harder and faster, and we're never going to have a negative as a result of that. And yet we know that there's all these other cultures and examples of people who take time to smell the roses a little bit and take time to think, and they're often the most creative people doing the best work. And so we sort of have this problem, this dichotomy where it's like, well, I don't know, like, I want to run faster, harder, do better, and improve, but I also know I need to kind of like take a minute. Like, I need to, like, a minute, sir. Like, give me a second here to capture my thoughts and think about, sort of the world around me and how, my interventions and efforts are impacting it and how it's impacting me. And I need to recharge. I need to put time and effort and energy into my own health and my own battery. And so there's a spot there. And so I guess what I wanted to kind of cover today and sort of look at in my few more minutes is getting that seed planted. Because we're trying to do it on the course side, right? So after that intro course, then there's certainly the Cert course for people who want to dive into that. But then we're also going to have Allie deliver, starting in February, her first course on primary prevention in the clinic. Because that's where she's excelling, and she's seeing this, the individual level, that she can slowly and steadily keep people healthy by giving them the assets they need, by giving them good information and kind of, in the classic ICE terminology, coming alongside of them and helping them stay healthy. On the other side, we're going to look at what are the folks who need intensive change. So Jeremy Fletcher and Megan Doyle are doing some stuff, and you'll see some promo stuff coming up soon from them. But they're going to be looking at, all right, what about the people who really need to make a lifestyle change? Like they know they need to, and they're just not sure. I just finished 5 minutes ago having a conversation with someone about this. She came up to me and kind of sheepishly and said, listen, I don't exercise. I don't know if I want to. Like, I think I want to, but I'm not really sure. I can't get the ball rolling. Like, I have resources. It's not that. I have time. It's not that. It's just, I'm just not sure if I want to do it. Like, how do we deal with that person who knows they need it, but they're not quite sure how to pull it off? Do we just gangbusters bash them over the head and say, you got to get in there? Like, if you care about yourself, you'll exercise. No. We say, listen, when you're ready, you'll do it. Let me help you along that process of getting ready. Because you need it. You've clearly made it, obvious that you desire this at some level. It's just a matter of how do we kind of build that formula? How can you get 1% better today? And what's interesting is that she walked away from that conversation very clearly saying, hey, you gave me a couple of things I think I can do. I think I can do that stuff, and I understand what I should look for in a result. Thank you. Okay, that's it. And like that's it for me for today with her. Like, I'm dying to push harder and say we can get you to that finish line faster, but I'm not going to do it. I'm going to say that's the 1% we're going to do with you today, and that's it. And then next time I'm here, I'm going to follow up with you, and I'm going to kind of come with you and say, hey, like, are you ready for another 1%? Because if you did that and it's going okay, like, we can do the next thing and it'll be even better. I think that mentality is lost, and I think that it's one of those things where we need to find it, and we need to find it in a big way. Because if we have that patience, if we can build those buffers so that we can have that patience, and take our time and do things right, the end product is almost better. It's almost always better for everyone. It's better for the person because they get where they need to go anyway, and it's not stressful. Okay, it's not over stressful. They're not in a state of distress. They don't feel like chaos. It's better for us because we get to savor it a little bit and we get to reflect on it and deal with it appropriately. And honestly, it's better for the world because that's how people can pass it on to the next person. Right? When you see someone who's stressed and distressed about their life and their health, I mean, is that really who you want to connect with and talk to and dive in with? Of course not. But when you spend time talking to someone in there and they just seem to have it all together, and they just sort of seem to have perspective, it makes it a whole lot better. So I think that's that. I'm going to kind of wrap it there. Just the key on this is very simple, right? We know that the line between stress and distress is very fine for people, and they're walking that line all the time. We also know that if they get into that distress space and they stay there too long, it's going to have a major negative impact on their health and the world around them. Okay, I mean, you get somebody who's distressed on the roads, it ruins everyone's day, right? As they're raging and zipping in and out of people and trying to run you off the road and kill you. It's going to ruin everyone's day. If you have a parent who's distressed and they yell at their kids all the time, it's going to ruin the kids, right? I mean, if you have someone who's in distress because of some previous history, it's going to ruin the world around them. It's sort of infectious that way. However, if we can inject progress over perfection, if we can say, hey, you made your 1% investment, good job, and you're getting somewhere, we'd be surprised how far that can go and how contagious that also can be. And if we can do that, if we can sort of be the exhibitors of that, if we can show our own little 20-mile march today, what am I going to do today, and show that, don't talk about it so much, just show it. I think other people will carry on and move along with us. And so, of course, how does this come full circle? It comes full circle where if that's kind of calling to you at some level, right? At some level, that there's another world sort of how we react as humans, and in the space that we're in giving care to other humans. If that resonates with you, and you're not sure how to take that 1%, that's what we're trying to drive at. That's the evolution that we're trying to go with. We know not everybody is ready to jump into the deep water all the way up to their neck. It's scary, and they want to put a toe in the water first. So we're trying to build the systems that allow for that. We're trying to build the spaces and the experiences and the people who kind of work together to do that. That cooperation, that sort of like, hey, how did you get a little better today? This is how I got a little better today. And that sharing is going to help everybody get a little bit better today. And that too is contagious. So I feel like that's something. The watch is beeping, that says we're up, but I think that's something that we can all sort of lock into. I think it's something that we can all take with us and we can all move forward. And so I would just challenge you to think about that today. Spend 5 minutes thinking about one thing you can do 1% better today. And if it helps, write it down and then ask yourself how it went. But if nothing else, just make a personal investment in yourself or in someone else around you to help them be 1% better, one step closer to mastery. You'd be surprised how fast we get there when we take that attitude. Okay, it's only Monday. It's been a good Monday so far. It's early, but it's only Monday. We got the whole week ahead of us. A lot can be done. Make it count.